Have you ever been on a project that just clicks? Everything flows, and then you've been on another that's just a total mess of delays and frustration. Well, today we're going to dive into the one big thing that really separates success from failure. And you know what? It all comes down to the project plan itself. I mean, can you just imagine the frustration? You show up to a job site, all ready to go, only to find this giant ditch right where your command center is supposed to be. Now, this isn't some rare or crazy disaster. It's a classic sign of a project that's already off the rails. And the worst part? It's completely avoidable. So let's get right into it. Section 1, projects gone wrong. We're going to really uncover the root cause here. Why do these painful and honestly predictable problems happen over and over and over again? As you're about to see, it's not just a string of bad luck. That trench where the office should be, the missing drawings, the materials that show up late, look, those aren't the real problems. They're just symptoms. The actual disease, the deeper issue, is a failure to plan things out thoroughly before a single shovel ever hits the ground. It all goes back to a disconnect right at the very start. This is how it usually goes, right? It's this project handoff. First, someone gets an idea, they pass it to a designer, the designer passes it to an estimator, and finally, it gets handed off to the builder. The problem is, it's like a game of telephone. Each new team comes into it cold, and with every single handoff, a little bit of crucial context gets lost. And that's exactly where the mistakes start to sneak in. Okay, now let's talk about the second major issue, and this one is huge. It's what I call the static plan trap. This is a super common pitfall where things really go sideways, even when you think you've done everything right at the beginning. So let me ask you this and be honest. What is your project plan really? Is it a living, breathing guide that actually helps your team figure out what's next? Or has it become a history book? You know, just a record of what's already happened, tracking your progress against some old baseline that nobody is even following anymore? This right here is the static plan trap. You make this beautiful, detailed schedule at the start, but the very moment reality hits, a supplier is late, a permit gets delayed, that plan is basically obsolete. If it never gets updated, it's just not connected to the real world anymore. And here's the really crucial point. A static, outdated plan isn't just useless, it's actually dangerous. It gives everyone this false sense of security while the project drifts further and further away from its actual goals and its real timeline. So if the static plan is the big problem, what's the solution? Well, that brings us to section 3. And this is a powerful shift in mindset. It's realizing that planning is a process. It's not about a fixed document. It's about a continuous action. This is the core idea, the whole secret sauce right here. The most successful teams, they don't just make a plan and call it a day. They are always planning. They treat it like a living, breathing part of the project that has to respond and adapt to new information every single day. And this process, it works in a constant loop. See? You start with step 1, create the plan. Then you go execute the work. Now that work in step 3, it gives you new information from the real world. You then use that info to refine your plan in step 4, and the cycle just repeats. It's not a straight line, it's a feedback loop that just keeps making things better. Think about it this way. Getting new information from the field isn't some problem you need to avoid, it's an opportunity. Every day on the job gives you a clearer and clearer picture of reality. And that real-world data is exactly what you need to make your plan smarter, more accurate, and way more effective. But hey, a brilliant dynamic plan is totally worthless if it just stays locked away on some planner's laptop. And that brings us to our fourth point, which is absolutely critical. You have to communicate the plan. This is how you unlock its true power. What's so cool here is how a well-communicated plan starts doing 4 critical jobs for you. First, it gets everyone on the same page, aligning all those expectations. Second, it gives you a clear baseline to measure your performance against. Third, it helps you spot problems early before they get big. And most importantly, it actually empowers your team to take corrective action before a tiny issue snowballs into a crisis. This is the key to responding in time. See, the goal isn't to follow that original plan blindly, no matter what. The goal is to act decisively when reality changes. You really only have 2 choices. You either fix the underlying problem to get back on track, or you update the plan to match the new truth. Either way, you're the one in control. Okay, so let's bring all this home in our final section, from plan to success. We're going to look at the ultimate payoff for all this, because adopting dynamic planning isn't just a different way to work. It's a fundamentally better way to hit your goals. The results are just so clear and consistent. Projects that are stuck relying on those static, out-of-date plans, well, they have a pretty low chance of success. But the ones that embrace this thorough, continuous, dynamic planning, they consistently get much, much better outcomes. You're not just hoping for the best, you're actively managing risk and turning it into an advantage. If you remember just one thing today, please let it be this. Your project plan is not some historical artifact you frame and forget about. It should be a living, breathing guide that works for you every single day, helping you navigate whatever the future throws at you. And so, I'll leave you with this one question to really think about. Is your current plan a static map? The kind you print once and it can't tell you about traffic jams or road closures? Or is it a dynamic GPS, constantly recalculating the best route forward based on what's happening right now? Because the choice you make there will absolutely determine your destination.